Today we will talk about the parts of the sentence. So in the last video, we explored the parts of speech and the syntax in the English language. So today we're looking more into the sentence itself and its basic components. So last time we discussed that a sentence in English has a subject, a verb, and an object, right? So that would make the correct order on which the sentence is built so a native speaker is able to understand. Now, the sentence itself has its own parts. Basically, it has two fundamental parts, the subject and the predicate, but we will divide it into three parts, the subject, the verb, and the predicate. So the subject is basically the protagonist of the sentence, the doer, the person or the thing that acts, right? The subject may have up to three components. It may have an article, definite or indefinite, sorry. It may have an adjective, but it must have a noun, right? So one and two are optional, but number three is always required. The second part of the sentence is the verb, which may have an adverb, but it always has to have a conjugated verb. And the last part is the predicate, which has the direct object and the indirect object. Now, technically speaking, the predicate is not really required to understand something as a complete sentence. If we have a subject and a conjugated verb, that would be enough. But for the betterment of our writing, we have to explain more of what we were talking about, correct? So it is important that our ideas are clear. So for that matter, we have to put the three components in their correct order and make sure that everything links together, right? So later on, we will talk about subject-verb agreement, right? It has to do with number. It has to do with first person, third person, or first person. Also, we will talk about consistency within a paragraph, but again, that's later on. Today, we're just concentrating on the parts of the sentence. So here, we illustrate this composition, right? Old Igor. Old is an adjective. Igor is a noun. As you may see, there is no article. In the middle, we have verb walks, right? So the conjugation is in the simple present. So old Igor walks. And then the predicate says through the forest, right? So here we have a direct object, which is the forest. Now, it is very simple to identify the direct object. The direct object is basically where the verb falls. So in this case, walks through the forest would be, the direct object. All right, so let's make a sentence from scratch. And I am going to use some illustrations to see how the sentence comes together. Again, I am following English syntax, so the order in which the image appear, that's their place within the sentence. So I have a bear or the bear, right? It's a noun. So the first thing we write is the subject. In this case, it is a noun. Bear. Then we write the verb. In this case, the verb is to watch now or to look. right? Now I have to conjugate it. It has to be either in present, past, future, or participle, right? Then the penguin appears, and the penguin is the object, and it's part of the predicate, right? So this is the order by which things appear on the screen, and that's the order by which the sentence has to be written. So the polar bear, that's the subject. Looks, that's the present tense verb, at the penguin. Penguin is the object, and the complete predicate is at the penguin, right? So this is the English syntax. First, the bear appears, then the bear does something, and then that something happens to something else. So that would be basically the composition of the sentence. So when you think of a sentence, think in this order, right? So the way it appears, the subject, the doer, the verb, the action, and the predicate, basically the explanation of all, right? So the polar bear becomes, again, the subject. Looks is the verb, and at the penguin is the predicate, right? So in this case, this is a complete English sentence. So when you're writing your essays, when you're writing your homeworks, please make sure to follow this formula and you won't have any problems. So for the next lesson, we will talk about punctuation. And punctuation is a little bit more complex, so I will divide it into two. The first part will talk about just the period, which is very simple, and the second part will focus on the comma, which is a little bit more complicated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.